Welcome to Tablenauts, where today I'm going to be telling you a little secret that's not so secretive. I have a new favorite game, but I want to ask you and discuss with you, will that stick? Because let's all be honest, the honeymoon phase is a real thing, and games are entering and exiting top 10s and collections left and right. Do I think this will stick? What makes the honeymoon phase real, and what makes a good game stay? If you enjoy our videos or you like what you've seen so far, never mind. I'm not going to ask you to like and subscribe today. I'm going to play a game, because that's what this channel is about, is games. So I want you to do something with me. All right, put your dukes up. We're doing this. We're doing this right now. Rock, paper, scissors. If you beat me, you are obligated to subscribe. Okay? Just know that, all right? On shoot, by the way. Rock, paper, scissors, shoot. Rock, paper, scissors, shoot. Scissors. If you put paper, click that subscribe button. If you put rock, you don't have to subscribe, but just know that you just played rock, paper, scissors with me over a camera and the internet. So, how's that make you feel? Anyways, today I want to discuss our favorite games and how they rotate in and out of our collection. So this on the table right here is Cthulhu Death May Die. This game is from CMON and it's designed by Rob Daviau and Eric Lang. And you may even notice that I have 2 core copies because I'm that into it. No, not really. But I found a pretty good deal on the Unspeakable box and the core set, but the dude wouldn't split it. So I bought them both and we'll look to sell this one in the future. This game I have played for the first time 8 days ago. I have played it 7 times since I first acquired it 8 days ago with a few different people. I've loved it every time, and it has not only shot up to my top 10, it has overtaken my #1 game of all time. A game that I just got a week ago is now my favorite board game I've ever played. Will it stick around though? And that's what I don't know. I don't know, but I think I have a few points that I can talk about why I think it might and why it might not. But I'd like to know real quick, type down in the comments, what is your favorite game of all time? And how long has it been there? Because with the cult of the new and new games releasing on Kickstarter and retail each and every day, it's not unheard of for games to be popping in and out of collections and popping in and out of top 10s. That's okay. That's not an issue. It's not a problem. But it is something that has recently changed in the hobby, I'd say. With the hobby booming and exploding, we're getting more and more games releasing and obviously more and more opportunities to become your favorite game. Now, I love Cthulhu Death May Die. It will not likely be for everyone. The theme can be off-putting to some. The way that the game takes mental health and illnesses like that and makes it a mechanic is certainly off-putting to some, and definitely something that you need to be aware of if you're going to get this game. Or if you're looking to play it or interested in it at all. Really, I've not seen a Cthulhu or Lovecraftian game that doesn't use them, and I think this one does it marginally better than others. But this game is truly incredible and hits all the marks and all the check boxes that I need when it comes to something that I'm looking for to be my favorite game. I could go on. I don't want to turn this into a rambling video. So I'm not going to talk a lot about Death May Die. Just know that if you have a favorite game, this is in the same spot. I have only popped around, really, favorite games a couple of times. When I first started the hobby, my favorite game was Cosmic Encounter. And that didn't stick around that long. And I think the problem is Cosmic Encounter is incredible. It's epic. But it's incredibly group dependent. Playing it with people like Josh, and Warren, who you've likely seen on the channel in videos past, made it to be my favorite game of all time. Playing with other groups that weren't as invested or didn't lean into the absurdity and the negotiation and just the chaos and fun, certainly make it either meh or just plain out not good. It's very dependent on the group that you have playing it and whether they can kind of enjoy that and lean into the experience it provides. So it was probably on the top of my list for 6 months or less before Gloomhaven took over as my #1 game of all time. I don't remember which order I got those games, but I do know that I had played Cosmic Encounter enough that it was my favorite, And whether I'd gotten Gloomhaven first or not, I had finally gotten deep enough into it and unlocked so many cool things, and that progression is what made it become my favorite game of all time. Now Gloomhaven sits at number 2. It's been kicked to the curb, for now, by Cthulhu Death May Die. And I think there's a couple very obvious reasons for that. They both are that experience type game, with Gloomhaven being a lot more strategical than Death May Die. Gloomhaven is a very strategical game. It can have a lot of analysis paralysis. It's great. This is not a shot to that, but just the differences between Death May Die and Gloomhaven. Death May Die is honestly probably closest resembles Zombicide, of which I've never played. And it's a dice chucker. But you're leveling up, you're ramping up your abilities, the fights are getting harder, and it's obviously a one-off in comparison to Gloomhaven, which is a full-blown campaign. And I think therein lies the biggest reason that Gloomhaven was knocked off. Because this game, I got this game 8 days ago. I've played this game 7 times, and actually set it up an 8th time, but I had a daughter who wouldn't go to sleep, so we had to postpone playing it. So that would be an average of a play a day. This game, despite the amount of content, despite the amount of miniatures, despite the number of boxes, has a pretty darn easy way to table it. Everything is organized all right. I need to figure out a better system now that I have 4 boxes, or 3 boxes. But you pull the things out, you take which monster you want to play, which Elder One you want to play, you set it to the side. You take which episode you want to play, you set it to the side. You grab your 4 characters, you set them to the side. The boxes can then go away. You pull out the components from the episode, you pull out the components from the Elder One, you mix them together, you create the table, and you're good to go. It's not a incredibly short setup. You're not pulling this game out and playing within 2 minutes, maybe 10 minutes, if that. Whereas Gloomhaven is a much longer setup, a much more fiddly experience, and also a campaign game where in the best case scenario, you wouldn't even have to put it up. You would have it in a room dedicated to itself, or under the topper of a game table, lying in wait for the next time you're able to play. Whereas this is so simple. It's so easy. I've played it with my wife all 7 of those times, which is honestly incredible in and of itself. I've played it with Doolin. I've played it with Doolin's wife. I've played it with my friend David and his wife Erica. And we have gotten into it so quickly. It's so simple and so easy, but so fun. It's very easy to teach. You sit down, I can teach you this game, at least the bare minimum, the basics. You may have a couple questions, but in 5 minutes of me teaching you this, you will understand the vast majority of how to play Cthulhu Death May Die and why it might be fun. Whereas in other experiences, you have to teach a lot more, and it's a lot more questions and a lot more confusing and a lot longer tabling time. And I think that alone is why it's shot up so fast. It's so easy to table and it's so easy to play, and anybody can play Death May Die, whether you are a hardcore gamer, Euro lover, or someone who barely plays games at all. If I'm able to play a game a lot more, I'm obviously going to enjoy it, and it's going to shoot up my list because I'm more passionate about it, because I'm more into it, because I'm able to play it so much more often. So that is probably the number one reason why it's taken over. But especially in a game like Death May Die, or even in a game like Azul or Cartographers, or anything you want to think about, there is that aspect of replayability, of which Death May Die does great, but does it do it well enough to make this a long-lasting game atop my favorite games of all time? In the core box, there are 6 episodes and 2 Elder Ones. In the Unspeakable box, there are 3 episodes and 2 Elder Ones. And in Season 2, there are 6 episodes and 0 Elder Ones. And then I do also have the Black Goat, which is a available separately Elder One. So there is a finite number of things in this game. And it's not really a game like, like I said, it's similar in Azul and Cartographers in the sense that there's still a finite set of materials and a finite set of stuff that you are going to have to play with over and over again. The same cards, the same tiles, the same objectives. But in a game like this, where experiencing new things is kind of like the main thing about it, Once you run out of those episodes and play with all those elder ones, will it stick? And obviously at this point in time, having not done that, I can't say for sure. But what I can say is that out of my 7 plays, I've still yet to play any episode past season 1, episode 3. That's all we've played so far. In 7 plays, I think I've played episode 1 twice, episode 2 twice, and episode 3 3 times. And I still haven't won that one yet. So I'm going to have to play it a 4th at a bare minimum. And I have no problem going back to those earlier episodes, especially if I'm playing it with a different group. Especially if I'm playing it with a different elder one. They honestly change the experience up so much, and I have no problem repeating them with different elder ones and with different investigators and friends. So I don't think that this is a one-time per episode game, but there is maybe not, eventually a cap where I'll have seen everything the game has to offer. I do think the game is incredibly fun, but will that be enough? Will that excitement of running into a room and just destroying the room with Brawler and coming back to life with Rasputin and blah, 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 be enough to keep it atop my number 1 of all time? And obviously I don't have that answer right now, but it's something we can figure out together. The honeymoon phase is real, right? I may play this another 7 times and be like, wow, that game's still good, but like, yeah, it's not my number 1. It's not my favorite. I may find faults with it that I am not currently seeing. I'm so heavily invested and I'm so biased right now against the incredibleness of this game that obviously I'm probably looking through some rose-tinted lenses right now. And that's okay for me to admit, but I also am aware of that, right? I'm aware that that is probably happening. The question is, will those rose-tinted lenses ever come off? Or even when I do, will this still sit atop my list? And I don't know that. I've gone through multiple games similar to this. This has probably been the one I've loved the most. But for example, Nemesis. I played Nemesis for the first time and it shot directly up my list. Probably number 3, something like that. But for one reason or another, it fell down fairly quickly within a couple of plays from my favorite 3rd game of all time to 8th, 9th, 10th area. It still sits up there. It was great, so thematic, incredible, but there are a few very glaring errors and issues that I found after a couple plays, of which, you know, setup time, play length, the player elimination, stuff like that. I still love the game. But those things I didn't really consider or take into account, or I just looked past them when my first play was so incredible that it directly shot up and then proceeded to fall right down after discovering these things. So after 7 plays, I have a little bit more experience with this than Nemesis, and I haven't found anything that's really turned me off just yet, but there may be something I'm missing that comes into play. Maybe the randomness, or maybe I'll see all the content. I don't know what it is, but eventually this may start to fall, just like Nemesis. Another example, I guess, would be, I don't know. I don't have any else off the top of my head. I was gonna say Cosmic Frog, but honestly, no, that's still up there. That hopped up to like my number 2, and it's probably sitting at my number 4 right now. And then you've got games like Gloomhaven, which I've talked about earlier, which were my number 1, and they've fallen to number 2, and I haven't played them in a year, and they're still my number 2. And games like Spirit Island, which I love and have not played for a long time, are my number 3 or 4, I can't remember, but they're right up there. These games that have the legs to withstand time and testing to still stay atop my favorite games of all time. Will this be one? I don't know. I'm not quite sure. If you've played it long enough, let me know how it went for you as time went on. And then what's to say that tomorrow another game won't come out and blow my socks off and take over? I don't expect it to. I don't think there's any of these games. There's a few games I have unplayed, like In the Hall of the Mountain King, Lost Ruins of Arnak, I don't know, stuff like that I think will likely shoot into my top 20. Do I think they'll take over number 1 or even come top 5? Probably not. Maybe they will, but probably not. I do think that this is special. I think it's something that's going to stick around. I might be wrong. I'd love to report back on that after 6 months. We'll see where my top 10 stands, my top 20, how everything else looks and how things have risen and how things have fallen. At this point in time, I think this is probably a keeper. We'll see. I don't know for sure. But I do think it's interesting It's just a discussion that needs to be had, that we can talk about and figure it out. It's just how easy things, at least for me, rise and fall. Because I'm someone who's probably very reactive. I play the game one time, loved it, and it just pops right on up. I play it again, really liked it, and it starts to decline, or had a bad experience, starts to decline. Nemesis is probably the greatest offender. It's still a great game, again, but shout out to my number 2, and pretty quickly fell down to to my lower single-digit numbers, 8, 9, 10. I don't know exactly where it stands, but that's still a great list. But that was only within one play of another. My first play, number 2. My second play, 8. So will it continue to fall? Will a third play be even better and shoot it back up? I have no idea. But I'm passionate about this game. I'm excited about this game. You're going to see content on this game. Let me know if you have anything particular you'd like to see. I think we're also going to try our hands at painting some of the figures. But I think it's a keeper. And I'm going to revisit this in a while. But I'd love to know from you, and I've already said it once before, what's your favorite? Why do you think it stuck around for so long? Or why do you think it took over so quickly? And let's just talk about that dynamic. I find it interesting. I've experienced this before, and especially most notably and most recently with this. So I'd love to hear your thoughts. Let me know what you have to say, and we will see you next time, maybe with more Death May Die. I don't know. We'll find out. See you later.